we're live,
Here we
locked
go.
in. All right, for those of you thousands of people watching, I'm here with Dr. Andy Fata-Chan, good friend of mine who has gone from physical therapist working for someone else to building numerous businesses and also building on personal growth along the way. I would say, big inspiration, and excited to have a little chat today, dude.
Dude, it's nice to see you, man. You look way more mature, like given like some, I don't know, it's the silver wolf, little, partially gray, fatherly look.
Yeah,
I
it's the
like it.
grays, maybe a little bit of the crow's feet. It's the 11:30 and then the 4 o'clock wake ups every night with young Penelope, but it's worth it.
No, you look great, man. You look
Thanks,
good.
dude. I feel like it's hard to hammer you down because you're like I was saying, one of the busier people that I know. Whether that's just seeing what you're doing or and perceiving it that way, or whether it's actually how you are. Do you feel like you've been cranking on a lot of things?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I probably don't give myself enough credit for, the things that I do day to day. I definitely think I'm busy, but I'm learning how to balance things more, and I've kind of come to realize it's like whenever you're like actually passionate about something, a lot of people try to tell you how to live. So it's like I'm actually at my happiest like when I'm reading, when I'm learning, when I'm enjoying good food, when I'm sitting with friends. And like I tend to like overdo certain things I really enjoy. So like, if I'm on vacation, I will read a book. It's just what I do. It's how I relax. Like if I'm on the beach, I'll read a book. If I'm traveling in Europe, I'm reading a book while we're riding the train. So it's like I just love to learn, and that's what I realized about myself. And when people are like, "Yo, why are you doing this? Why are you working so hard? You should find better work-life balance." And I think so many people that try to find work-life balance typically have work that they hate doing. I've actually come to realize that like it's okay for me to go through these periods of like intense learning, of intense growth, as long as I follow it up with like some sort of relaxation. But yeah, man, like I am definitely busy, but I'm flexible, right? Like there's a lot of things that I have to do, but there isn't a lot of things that are like really constrained by time. So like if something were to happen this week, I can move things around and I'll just work on Saturday and Sunday. But for now, it's like, we teach a seminar this weekend. We've already probably taken like 2 weeks on vacation since the start of the year. Was in San Diego, was in Orlando, so it's flexible, but it's like an organized kind of chaos.
I mean, that's how it seems, I think. And I was actually pleasantly surprised when I booked this time with you that there were a couple slots open. I was thinking that there wasn't going to be availability for a couple weeks, and honestly, I want my schedule to look like the availability that you had, which was like a couple days in a row. I'm like, hell yeah, man! I'm proud of you for that.
Dude, I can pretty much like if someone needs me, like I can be there for them. And that's kind of what my goal was. I think over time, before I used to take so much pride in like pack schedule, pack schedule, pack schedule. But, deep blocks of work for me are really, really good, especially on Mondays and Fridays. Like I wake up, take Oliver for like like my dog Oliver, it's like Sunday, Monday, Friday, and Saturday. In the morning, I wake up, I take him for a 2 hour walk. Like I get to really enjoy a shit ton of time with them. And then I go into my deep blocks of work for like 2 to 3 hours and I go for a run. I do another deep block and then I just shut it out. And, it's a date night with Christy or something else. And on a weekday, it's like, if I had nothing to do today, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to lift. Maybe I'll do some cardio and I'll do sauna. So, like, it's definitely, I keep myself busy. I probably need to do a better job of having blank space. But, I've already, in the past year, I've started doing stuff that I never thought it would. I meditate now. I do mantras. What is that? I have a gratitude practice. Like I'm like I would have never done a gratitude practice in my life, but I try to do these things every day now because it keeps me feeling really grounded and just happy about stuff.
What does the meditation practice look like for you?
Super super simple. It's just 5 minutes, and I could definitely meditate longer, but for me, it's like 5 to 10 minutes is the sweet spot, and I just do 4 4 8. So it's a 4 second inhale, 4 second pause, 8 second exhale, 4 second pause, 4 second inhale, 4 second, just 4 4 8. And I do it for as long as I can, and I'll do it anywhere. My preferred spot is in a sauna, just eyes closed, or when
Nice.
I wake up in the morning, just like on my back, and I just have my hand on my belly and my chest, and I just feel everything open up. So that's it for meditation. And the one rule that I have towards it is like there's no judgment, right? Like if I'm meditating and I'm thinking about something else, it's completely okay. Because the minute that you start to just get down on yourself for meditating is the minute that you just actually lose the benefit of meditation, right? It's like whatever happens during that 5 minutes, there's gonna be like a minute lapse, a 30-second lapse. Sometimes it's the full 5 minutes. I can't get my brain off of something else. It's completely okay. I just gave myself 5 minutes to shut everything else down, just be in my head, be in my body a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. I think that one thing that I've admired about you is you have a deep connection with, I would think might have been a forced connection because of dealing with mental health and anxiety and panic issues and things in the past that we've kind of shared. Um, but I think that your ability to prioritize that while working, again, I don't know how you have the energy throughout the day to get through what you've done, but again, when I'm like I've long time follower over here, I see all the stuff you put out, and when you put out like, hey, I'm trying to slow down. This is what I'm doing. This, I think that those types of sharing online is extremely beneficial for people to see that you, who has multiple businesses that you're maintaining and growing, not just maintaining, but actively pursuing growth and new things, are learning how to find that work-life balance, but also that balance within your mind.
Yeah, and I think it's easy for me because like all three businesses are in line with like what I do day to day. So the first business obviously is our practice, and it's helping people that have been in chronic pain for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and we help them get back to doing what they love. Afterwards, everything that we do in our practice, we teach to other physical therapists through our education platform. So now it's over 360 physical therapists that we've mentored throughout the world, which is freaking insane. And now
Insane.
those physical therapists get really good at what they do, and they're like, "Hey, I don't want to move to New York to join your practice, but I want to do something on my own." And now we've helped them launch and scale their practices, and that started last year, and it's 60 plus practices. We've generated 4.5 mil last year for these 60 plus practices. That number is probably going to double or triple this year in terms of how much we can help people generate. So like everything that we're doing within the business, it's not like I own like a laundry mat or like a pool cleaning service, right? Like everything is intertwined with like physical therapy to some degree. But to your point, like finding time and all of these things, I think there's a step by step progress that everyone kind of goes through, whether that's like a spiritual journey. These are the steps that typically people go through. I think from an entrepreneur perspective, you I would never do anything over again. I would always choose to take the same path I did, burn out, put myself through hell and back, and then get to where I'm at right now, where I have a lot more peace. But I think you need to have a chip on your shoulder. Man, the people that I know that have a chip on their shoulder and they have something to prove the world, they just make shit happen, right? So when you're like, hey, I've seen you now, like I've worked 70, 80-hour weeks for, probably 2 years in a row. And that's taking vacations and still thinking about work constantly. And I was only able to do that because I had this massive chip on my shoulder where like I wanted to prove to the world that like I was worthy, that I was capable of doing all these things. But then you start to get some success and then you start to realize it's like, oh wow, that demon that I was fighting, that I was trying to prove something to, never really existed in the first place. It was just a figment of my imagination. But I think that chip on your shoulder that pushes you to do shit that you never would and builds the capacity that you never would have had otherwise, it's crucial for early success. But what will happen later down the line is it's a whole thing. Like what got you here won't get you there. Chip on your shoulder is no longer going to be beneficial for you, right? Because it's not about working harder and out hustling everyone anymore. As you get bigger and grow and like your self improvement, what you can do for your business and a company that you work for, whatever it is, you don't want to leverage your time. You want to leverage your value. You want to leverage clearer thinking, and none of that can happen unless you're taking care of yourself and you fix the relationship with what's going on in your head.
Dude, I love that. I love that. I love the idea and what got you here won't get you there. Like that, it's so true because I'm a visual person, so what I visualize is like a rocket ship launch. They use certain propulsion systems in different stages to get out of the atmosphere, and then they drop it off and they use a different fuel system. And I feel like there's different points where you realize that yeah, the desire to prove myself right, or to maybe prove inner demons wrong, or to prove these people wrong about me, or to prove these people right who believe in me, can get you to a certain point. And then there might be a realization of, I'm not fueled by this anymore. Do you find that for you, what was that point? And do you feel like there was a gap where you're like kind of floating for a second before that next propulsion system kicked in? Or was it just a switch of like, bingo, I figured out what's next and you're going?
There was like two events that I could really think about that like changed everything. About a year and a half ago, like we opened up our facility here in Midtown, and it was like everything that can go wrong went wrong. I had some family issues where someone in my family got into well over seven figures of debt. We had a contractor come in, completely screw us over, like went AWOL. So our clinic was open, but it was not done yet. So everything was in turmoil. My relationship with Christy was not where it needed to be. She was dealing with some stuff. I wasn't very supportive as a husband. And I was just kind of thinking, like, man, this is like, I could have never imagined that'd be where I'm at right now. Yet I don't feel good. Like, it's the first time right now that, like, I don't like being a part of this journey. Like, this journey is not leading me to anything. And I think that's when I took a step back. It's like, it's okay. Like, I'm more than happy to work and grind and do whatever it is I need to do, put in the work. But if it's not leading me to building the life that I want anymore, that makes burnout rampant. It makes all of what we're doing kind of worthless. And then that's when I hired an executive coach that I work with. And she's honestly more like a therapist. And one realization now that I've had recently is I'm more successful than I've ever thought I'd be, right? Like I am not like a bright Asian student A plus. Like I was a almost dropped out of college. Like I just was not a smart kid, academic probation, barely got into physical therapy school. But I'm in a position now where like the amount of success I've had, I couldn't even imagine this, right? If someone was like if I was in high school, someone's like set some goals for yourself. I couldn't even write something down that would correlate to like where I'm at now. And growing up, so much of my self-worth was tied towards like success. And success when I'm growing up was all related to school. And I realize now it's like I have more success than I've ever had in my life. And all of that was to make my parents happy. Even with all the success I have now, I don't have a great relationship with my father, right? My father was the one that always put a ton of pressure on me to succeed. So then I kind of realized it was never really about me succeeding. It was about him projecting his insecurities on me, right? Because if it was about me succeeding, we would have a great relationship. He'd be so happy right now that I am where I'm at. But I'm where I'm at right now, and like my relationship with my father isn't where, I would love it to be. So in my eyes, it's like it's never been about all the things or the narratives that I've been told since I was growing up. I've been playing the wrong game. I've been playing the game where I'm like doing something for this external validation opposed to playing the game where like internally I feel at peace. I'm very happy with where I'm at.
How do you switch from one to the other? How do you go from recognizing you're playing the game for either for your dad or for external validation, and then create that or find that other fuel?
I think if you never actually think about your upbringing, your behavior, why do I do certain things, why do I believe certain things, you're living in a stage where you're just straight up asleep, right? And there's a lot of people that they just keep repeating the same exact patterns, and it seems like, man, they can't find a good significant other, or like, man, they keep self-sabotaging, or every single time there's a great opportunity something gets in the way and it's like, why me? Until you actually analyze your behaviors and your beliefs and correlate it to everything that's happening when you were a child, you will still stay in the same exact cycle. And when we think about like where we're at, when you're a kid or human beings in general, all you're meant to do is be safe and reproduce. And since you're a kid, you're not obviously focused on reproducing, you're just focused on being safe. So you learn a bunch of behaviors to be safe, to be a part of a member of society, to be a part of a member of your family. And these behaviors, unless you start to analyze them and unlearn them, they tend to just be behaviors that are passed on from your parents. And when you go back enough, passed on from your heritage. So I'm Asian American. All of these behaviors are probably a product of my parents' upbringings and my grandparents' upbringings. And then when I go back far enough, it's just Chinese people and Asian culture in general that have shaped how I was behaving. And some of those things are great, right? Like super loyal to my community, very respectful to my elders and stuff like that. But then some of them are like, oh, don't talk too much, right? Don't don't be too outspoken. You want to get out of trouble, and it's like that's not a way to actually like thrive as an entrepreneur. There are things that I still take from my childhood and my upbringing that I absolutely cherish. Like I'm no stranger to hard work, but there's also stuff where I'm like, I don't really want to be validated like that anymore. You know, like I don't want to be validated based off an outcome because that's what happens in immigrant families. It's like they invest so much into you. You need to see an ROI into your dad working and breaking his back, working in a restaurant, your mom working in a sweatshop. They're like, they need to see their kid succeed. And there's so much pressure there.
Hmm.
And just constant projections until you start to realize it.
Yeah, man. I think that that's very well said because I think that you've talked about it a lot of what drive you've had, who you were trying to impress, and how you were trying to get to a position where you're growing out of that. Like, yeah, I did it. I'm good enough. Like everybody tell me, right? What do you think you're most? So, do you feel like you're in a position now that you've found that drive that's for you, or do you feel like there's still part of you that's working for someone else, like building for someone else?
It's human nature, man. Like it's impossible. Like if you make a post on Instagram and someone says like, "Look at this fucking douchebag," you can tell yourself that you don't care, but there's that split second where it does matter, right? Where
Mm.
it feels like a little bit of a pain deep down. So I don't think any of these things matter, but what you could do is update your coping mechanism, right? It's like, all right, you know, Lost Pirate 93 on Instagram comments. I have no idea who fucking Lost Pirate is, but if I'm triggered by something, for me now, it's like if I'm triggered by something, I immediately go, what have I not forgiven myself for? And I try to dive deep into that and figure out why is this so triggering? Because if I was like, hey, Casey, you're a terrible runner, you would never get triggered because you're like, I'm a fucking amazing runner, right? But then if I say something like, hey, Casey, you're incredibly selfish,
Mm.
you might get triggered. And then you're like, why am I triggered based off of something like that? So usually like I'm always thinking to myself, it's like it's okay to want that external validation and admit those things because that's the only way that those things can change. But I know for myself, it's like I don't think everything is like a light switch, right? There's like a gradient. And all I'm trying to do is trying to push the gradient more towards like internally, is this for me, opposed to focusing on things externally. I don't want to shame myself for wanting some external gratification because again, I have had that programming now for 32 years. I don't think it's going away anytime soon, but I just am making a conscious effort to try to figure out how can I make this more about me? And like for me personally, my North Stars are just like light and happy. Like I just want to be light and happy. So every decision I make, is it moving me towards becoming lighter and happier?
Yeah, dude, these are great. These are all, I like that you're adding inquisitive points in there as far as like you're asking yourself a certain question. What have I not forgiven myself about? Um, what are my North Stars? Why do I care about what this person has said? And using that as, I use journaling a lot with my clients and give them prompts to be inquisitive, to be curious, to understand that like, okay, especially if you're not happy with a feeling or a thought or something that's in there, can we maybe shine a light on that and understand it a little bit more? And at least then, I call it like the monster under the bed. At least if we shine the light under the bed, there's either a monster or there's not. We can stop thinking about what's going on under there because at least then we know. And then once we know, we can take an action that's going to either resolve a problem or understand that there never really was a problem. So yeah, if I get triggered by someone saying, it did. I mean, like, I know you weren't telling me I was selfish. I'm like, man, have I been selfish? When have I been selfish? Um, because A, that's a subjective thing, but it's also like, I can't really prove that I haven't been selfish. Even with the running, I was also like, I could probably run a little bit more. I could probably run a little bit better. Um, but yeah, you're right. There might be a question of why does that trigger me? Why does that hurt me? Or I love the question, what have I not forgiven myself for? It's a different perspective. Do you feel like you've come up with those things just through happenstance? Has that from your coaching? Like where do you feel like you've benefited most in your mental health journey?
Yeah, there's been three things. One, shout out to Erica. She is a life coach. I just call her an executive coach. She works with a lot of different execs. and she's certified with this organization called IPEC, IPEC. No idea what it means, but I'll probably get that certification at some point because it's been super life changing. And when I first started working with her, my main focus was like, I want to make more money, I want to have more freedom. And instead of like breaking down business, we broke down my childhood. And I was like, oh shit. And granted, breaking down your childhood ended up helping with business because how you lead is solely based off of, your history, your past, your experiences. From there, stumbled upon this guy, Jerry Colonna. And I think it's just good to hear from multiple perspectives. I'll continue to work with Erica forever, but I tend to go down lots of different rabbit holes. Jerry was a venture capitalist. He owns a company called Reboot now. Super successful guy, but wanted to take his life when he got really wealthy because he realized that making all this money and not feeling internal peace was like fool's gold. And Jerry's got a book called Reboot. One of the main questions he asks is, how am I complicit in the things that I say I don't want in my life? So how are you like contributing to the things that you say you don't want in your life? What behaviors have kept me safe as a kid but prevented me from growing as an adult? So Jerry, same thing, takes perspective of like, what's your upbringing like? And then he has another book which like talks about your whole heritage. And then there's another guy, his name is Joe Hudson. And Joe has a company called The Art of Accomplishment. He works with a bunch of high level tech CEOs and C suite execs. All of his things is based off of motion. And his golden algorithm, one of the things that he always says is the motion that you're trying to avoid, you keep recreating. And that's by smart design, right? Because you need to feel emotions in order for you to grow. So your body will and your brain will keep recreating these scenarios until you can actually experience it and move on from those things. And now I'm taking another deep dive. This guy named Johnny Miller, and his whole thing is stress and nervous system mastery. And Johnny talks about stress cycles and how we never close the loop. So Casey, like if you're growing up and out of nowhere you're like just angry, and your dad goes, Casey, like what are you being angry about? Stop being angry. He has just created a scenario in your head where it's not okay to be angry. It's not okay to experience this emotion. And that stress loop never closes. So you don't understand how to fully feel anger in a way that's healthy. Because we often think like, oh, anger is not good. But anger, when it's expressed appropriately, is actually beneficial, right? Who changes the world? People that are angry with the current circumstances, right? So anger actually leads to agency and wanting to make a positive change if you experience it well. For me personally, it's like I just couldn't like mope or feel shame or be down on myself because my parents are like, what do you have to be upset about or sad about? There's nothing in your life that you have to worry about. You go to school, you do this, and that's it. Like, we're working hard for you. So then I was just raised that it's like, oh, it's okay. It's not okay to feel shame. So what basically happens is like, we make most of our decisions based off of emotions. I mean, make most of our decisions based off of emotions, but we're afraid to feel certain emotions. Then we're gonna diminish the amount of decisions that we can possibly make. And then we keep going through this same feedback cycle because there are certain decisions that might expose us to feeling certain emotions that we're gonna avoid, right? Like if I'm like someone that wants to avoid feeling shame, I'm not gonna pick that hard choice because that hard choice might lead me to feeling shame and I'm gonna avoid that. So it's been like whenever I find myself limited or there's like a constraint that's like preventing me from moving forward, I just keep trying to learn and like seek out alternative beliefs on things.
Yeah, you're there's a lot in there, man. Every time you talk, I took a little notes because I love I almost feel like I just love following the books that you're reading. I'm pretty sure you do have a book list, right? I feel like I've do you have a book list that you send out to people?
We have a book list for like fitness professionals and healthcare providers. I need to create a book list for people that like
I
want to
just
just
want
get
an
out of
Andy.
the funk, like want to
Yeah, I
get
just
out.
want an Andy book list. I mean, because you gave me that book. What was his
Courage
name?
to be decided.
Well, that one, which I just finished, I've tried to be, I'm trying to be. What would Andy do? Andy reads a lot, so my goal is 6 books this year. I mean, it's a goal for me, and I'm
Oh,
not going to diminish that goal for me because you know what? That's a lot for me. So I read Courage to Be Disliked. I will say I read it before, and that's one of those things where I think I could read it again now because it's
Oh,
just you absorb more and more and more, especially from a dialogue perspective. You're reading a back and forth from a philosopher and a student. But what was the guy's name that wrote the book about his panic attack that you gave me?
Luis.
Yes,
Yeah,
Luis. That that book. I mean, that book was a. I wanted to read it. I needed that at the time that you gave it to me. But then I realized, like, yeah, Andy's reading a lot of books, and every time you post a picture of the book, I write it down in a note. And yeah, I need an Andy book list because I feel like that's an admirable quality to just be learning.
I try not to share any. Like I don't share anything. Like if I post a book, that book changed my freaking life. Like
Yeah.
Courage to Be Disliked was probably the best book I read last year. But like not selfishly, kind of like it's hard for me to like read fiction. That's another thing, right? Like people are
Mm,
like, "Oh man, you read so much nonfiction. You should like really learn to read fiction." And I shamed myself for not reading fiction. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm like a self-improvement junkie." And I'm like, "It's completely okay." Right? Like whatever it is that you like to do, stop allowing other people to tell you how to behave. For me, I'm like, I like reading nonfiction stuff. I like reading history and biographies. Whenever I read fiction, I get kind of bored, to be completely honest. But I know that there's going to be some point in my life where I pick up reading fiction. And
mm,
my goal right now is like just go with the flow. Like, what am I naturally curious about? What do I enjoy? Screw what everyone else has to say. I'm gonna live life on my terms because before I was like, oh, people said I should read fiction. Let me try to read fiction. And
yeah.
there's amazing fiction books, but like, man, I can't get myself to sit down and read fiction.
Well, you're clearly in or let me not tell you what season you're in, but it seems like you're in a season of business development, of self growth, of just growth, educate, of a lot of things that are trying to improve. Self improvement might not come from fiction books unless you personally two of those six books that I want to read fiction because I have had a trouble with reading too much self development, not implementing it. So I want that gap so that I implement it. So maybe it's a secondary idea that if I'm reading fiction, then at least I'll have time to absorb the courage to be disliked and utilize the all problems are interpersonal relationship problems, all that good stuff, and the Adlerian theories and all those good things. But I think that there's a couple things in there, and you're throwing out so many knowledge bombs that I wanted to jump on. You said, "What am I curious about?" That is one of my favorite prompts, and it came to me when I was running. I mean, not that I've stopped running marathons, but I was trying to get faster at marathons over and over and over, and I didn't really care about it after like the first time I beat my time. I was just like, all right, well, I guess I got to get faster. Like everybody thinks I'm the runner. I gotta get faster. Gotta get faster, and then I couldn't get faster. Realistically, I didn't want to put in the training that it would take to get faster. But I'm like, I don't care about this. And so I asked myself, well, what am I excited to pursue next? What am I curious about? And that felt so much more powerful than like, what race should I do next? What should I do? It's like, what am I curious about? I don't know. I want to see how far I can run. I mean, it was still running, more of like, I want to see what it feels like to visit this place. I want to learn about this. What am I curious about? Because curiosity is such an underrated tool. What am I curious about? There's too many people that are online. I mean, I fall in the same trap as everybody, right? Comparison, thinking like, what should I do? What's the next thing? Even with you, I look at you. I'm like, Andy's built three businesses. I only got one. I got two. I need two more. And I know that you wouldn't want that for anybody. So I'm going to try not to. However, human behavior. I want to be, an alpha personality. I'm drawn to like, well, how do I do that? But realistically, what season am I in? What am I curious about? What am I excited about? For me, that answer might be, and it's uncomfortable, but it's like I just want to be dad right now, and I don't really want to build, a professional growth, and that's really uncomfortable because I feel so drawn to like achievement, but I just want to slow down. I want to be dad. It's really freaking hard. But that's every time I ask myself that question, what am I curious about? What am I excited about? What do I want to pursue right now? It's how I can be most present at home. It's freaking hard.
Yeah. But here's why that's such a dope thing, right? And I'll give you one example fresh off the top of my head. I recently got back into watches. And I used to love watches when I
I
was,
saw a little flash of something there.
yeah. Oh, this one is just a funny one. I got a Timex watch. It says kick back and relax, and it's got
I
Snoopy
like
on
it.
it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But I've got some more expensive watches now that I really love, that I think are super unique, and like they really speak to me, right? Like as a person. Like one of them, Chrissy got me like a Cartier Santos watch, very expensive watch, but to me it symbolizes who I am. It's the only watch where their screws are inside out. You can see some of the hardware, and to
Mm.
me, I'm like, that's exactly who I am. I wear my freaking heart on my sleeve, right? Like I'm super transparent about everything. Another watch I got, it was like it's such just like a super unique color. So me like naturally curious about watches, I started to learn about everything. I learned about watch movements, I learned about the history of the watch brands, like why did these things become like a thing, right? Wristwatches weren't always popular, it was always pocket watches. Like when did all of these things come into where we are now today? I'm listening to this interview, and there's this interview actually with a guy named Casey Neistat. He's in the run community now, he's super famous
Oh
vlogger.
yeah.
So I'm watching this interview with Casey Neistat, and me tracing my natural curiosity, it gave me a ton of freaking peace because I'm watching this interview with Casey Neistat. The guy is like Teddy Baldassar. He's like a famous watch influencer. He's interviewing Casey, asking him a bunch of questions. And he normally interviews people like, oh yeah, this is like my $100,000 watch. This is my limited one of one watch. It's like, hey Casey, what's your collection? He goes, I got this really like beat up Casio watch, but I love it. It's like it's not even white anymore. It's yellow, but I love that it's just like so aged and looks like shit. And he's like, my father-in-law gave me this Rolex, and he put like the ugliest strap on it. Like watch enthusiasts would be like, oh my gosh, change that Rolex back to its normal strap. But I'm watching this guy live life completely on his terms. He's breaking every single rule. And he's doing this interview with like sunglasses on, even though he's indoors.
Mm.
And I'm watching this fucking interview and I'm listening to it and I'm just like, fuck, I've moved away from who I truly am. Right? Like I am when I'm on social, I'm like, I gotta be primped and proper. I gotta talk a certain way. I gotta follow someone else's cadence. I was like, fuck that. Casey Neistat is the fucking man. He wears weird freaking watches. He got like watches that are like bomb proof, right? But here's this guy that's living life completely on his terms. And I only got this reminder because I chased something that I was naturally curious about. I started diving into watches, watching watch interviews, and then boom, out of nowhere, that freaking happens. If you start to chase, how do I become more present? How do I become a better father? You're going to learn things along the way. And then you might honestly, in the future, start training other dads that are struggling with the same exact problem. And then you can help them with that. And all of a sudden, you chase what you're genuinely curious about and wanted more of in your life, and it benefited you some other way. And if not, it's just like life is just more fun when you actually go after what you're curious about.
I love that. Yeah, dude, it's so true. Like when you put yourself, I like to say, you put yourself in a position to get lucky. If you put yourself into follow what you're curious about, you put yourself in a position to have that revelation of like, nah, that actually really speaks to me. And I wouldn't be here unless I followed that intuition about just being curious about watches and watching videos about them. And yeah, I've seen some of Casey Neistat, and it's super unique. Like one of the
It's so
first
quirky.
and biggest YouTubers, and like super unique dude overall. And I think it is a great lesson, really hard to learn, of just like you can just do what you want to do. It's okay. Like I think that myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people, are just looking for permission to be like, nah, like you don't have to compare. You don't have to chase that. You don't have to follow what you think people want you to do because, out of fear, out of trying to belong. Like you can just do whatever the fuck you want. Like I want permission to be okay of sitting at home because like yeah, I might not make as much money as I could and all that, but like I really just want to be here for every single milestone. It's important to me.
Yeah, there's something there's a great stat where it's like entrepreneurs, like athletes peak in their late 20s, right? Entrepreneurs don't peak until after they're 40 years old.
Thank
And I think
God. I
a,
love that stat.
I think a big part of it is like you kind of get to 40 years old and you kind of reevaluate your life. Or like every decade you kind of reevaluate your life. And you're 30, when you turn 30, you're like, I had a shit ton of fun, did not take myself seriously enough. Then you might reach 40, it's like I took myself super seriously and I realized no one gave a fuck. So I'm just gonna be who I am now. I think every single decade you kind of have these realizations where you reflect on the past decade, lessons and things like that. And I think when you get to like 40 years old, you start to realize that like no one's thinking about you that much except yourself. And I am trying to think of like what future lessons are there? Like how can I start living like that
Just
now?
skip to 40.
Because I'm just like, man, I don't want if there's certain behaviors or things that bother me and that like really limit my day to day and my mood, I'm like, why do I believe that? Why do I think that way? How is this impacting me so much? If I'm so smart, then why am I so fucking miserable? You know?
Mm. It's these are good questions to ask, and I think that you're absolutely right. Like age does a certain thing to you as far as what you learn and what you can't. What's the? Do you watch Chris Williamson on Modern Wisdom, his podcast?
I self-select on episodes, so
Fair.
like I don't like listen it like every single episode, but if
Yeah.
there's someone that I'm interested in, I'll listen to it.
And there's one thing that there's a couple things I listen to it a good amount because I do like the people that he has on and the themes about it are all self development, self growth, and it kind of just seems like he's doing a personal development journey and documenting it with other people. Um, but he was talking. I'm trying to think of why I even got on this topic. But yeah, it was about like kind of understanding things at the end of a journey. Why would all these people that are vastly rich and wealthy and famous say, "Hey, it's not all about the wealth and famous." But it's like kind of something that you have to see for yourself. Like if it wasn't true, why are these people getting to the end of this line and saying, "Hey guys, I'll tell you again, it's not the wealth and the fame." But we're all still, I mean, a lot of us are still like, "I got to get there first. I want to see for myself." And some things have to be seen. You can't kind of fast forward it. We know, like you probably know at 40 you're going to feel different, but it is hard to look forward at how do I learn that lesson now without the time from you're 32, right?
Yeah,
Which I would say you're also very mature and balanced 32. Um, I think so. Um, but maybe you need to get to 40 to understand what lessons you're going to get at 40. Like maybe you can't just speed run life right now.
no, for sure. I think the one benefit that I have over other people is like I've just felt a shit ton of pain in my life. And I
Mm,
say that as a benefit because I think we usually move away from pain and intensity as if it was a bad thing. But they're the best teachers as long as you understand where the lesson actually, is. And I think about like, man, what are like some of the most painful things that have happened in my life? And it's usually like when you like lose something, right? And I think about it now, it's like, how do I know that money won't solve everything? Like I was driving in a car with Oliver one weekend and he's got his head out the window. We're listening to like R&B music. The sun is out, the windows are down, and I'm just like, man, this is such a beautiful day. And at some point in my life in the future, I won't be able to have one of these experiences again. And I would pay so much money to be able to do this one more time. So the fact that I'm living in this now, I'm going to cherish it for every single moment. So why do I know that money won't solve everything? At some point in your life, you're going to lose your health and you'll pay any money to have your health back. At some point in your life, you can lose someone in your life that's super important. You pay any type of money to have dinner with that person again. So it's like if there is so much abundance in your life and things that you would pay for in the future just to live it one more time, like holy cow, money is not going to solve everything. You enjoying the present though, and being with the person on the other side of the phone, on the other side of a conversation, on the side of a dinner table, just being in a car with your dog, or sometimes maybe just sitting by yourself and breathing in cold air. Like holy cow! At some point, you're not going to be able to breathe again, right? And like all of these things are such real things that we don't think about because we're afraid to feel that pain and discomfort. That uncomfortable sensation. But the more you lean into those things, the more you're reminded that like you have so much in your day-to-day life to be grateful for.
yeah, gratitude is grounding for sure. And you're right. It's the word itself, it's the experience. You get to experience it. And if you're not there, you're not present, you're not experiencing this experience, like you're going to look back. And I think it is a powerful reminder, um, whether it's from difficult experiences that bring you in the, hey, I'm going to cherish it from now on, or whether it's from climbing a mountain and getting to the top and understanding, like, oh, shoot, I actually succeeded in everything that I ever wanted to. And then it didn't feel like that I wanted to. I feel like if you have an opportunity for that, like it's unique, but it's also extremely beneficial to get to a point where, like you said, you're more successful than you would ever dreamed. So you know what it feels like. So you know, like, oh, at a certain point, I'm sure you got to a point where like, yeah, I have more than I've ever wanted, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go actually go back into personal development and not just keep chasing this running on this hamster wheel, because that's not it. You had the experience and young to see ahead, but also be in it of like, I'm here. This isn't it. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't how it's going to be. And I know that if I keep chasing it in the manner that I am, it's not going to just develop into what I think it's going to be. It's not going to solve everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's I don't even think it's like I think we've just like pathologized so many things that are just like normal about life, right? Like if you have problems, it's like, oh my gosh, this guy has like so many issues going on like in his life. It's so dramatic. There's this guy can't seem to catch a break, and it's like it's okay. Like problems are going to be a constant, and the things that are going to be a constant in your life, it's good to change your framework or thought process on how to navigate those things, right? Like if you start a spiritual practice or a journey like meditation, it's like, guess what, there's no fucking endpoint. Right? Like
Mm.
it's a new experience every single day. Whenever you're like navigating problems, like problems are going to be a constant in your life no matter what, because that's what makes life fun. So anything that is a lifelong journey, I just don't think you need to shame yourself or create more stress along the way as you're doing it, especially if you're doing it for the first time. Like obviously you're being a father for the first time. Guess what? No matter how much we try not to fuck up our kids, they're gonna get fucked up to some degree. Because if we do, unless you find the right mix of challenge and support, right? But even then, it's like, oh my gosh, you were such a great parent that I felt the pressure of, meeting your expectations, even though you had no expectations. And sometimes you don't have any expectations. And I have friends who are like, I wish my parents gave me more expectations. And then you have friends that my parents had too many expectations and I couldn't meet those expectations. And it's like, no matter what, you're gonna fuck up. You're always gonna fuck it up the first time around. And your goal is to always admit those things and change over time, right? And I think that's what it's all about. It's not about avoiding every little mistake. It's just like learning from these things.
I like that. Yeah. It's understanding in the moment what you can take from it and being in the moment. And I love that word. And I think it's one of my favorite things about what what made you name your business Moment?
I I basically had this idea in my head of like starting a brewing company that was gonna have like the beer for every occasion, right? Like my kid is graduating from college, summer ale. We're gonna have, my buddy's moving into a new apartment, Pilsner. I had a long day at work, double IPA. It was gonna be like every single moment we were gonna have a beer for it. That was a pipe dream. I did brew one batch of beers. It was okay. It tastes like bubble gum. Kind of weird.
Oh man.
Then when we started our practice, I was like, man, what is special about these things? And for me, it's like my thought is, or my big idea is that everyone's a few aha moments away from living the life that they want to live. And my goal is to provide that for people. So for the person that's in chronic pain, I want them to help make sense of what they've been going through and provide them with aha moments that they can get out of that pain. For the burnt out physical therapist, I want to show them that there's a completely different path that they can take and they don't have to regret getting their doctorate degrees. For the burnt out entrepreneur that's had a hard time building a business for themselves, I want to show them that there's alternatives where you don't have to lose your health. I know people that have got out of engagements, lost their marriage because they've sacrificed everything to build a business. So moment just symbolizes like that, right? That there's moments out there, there's aha moments, there's these epiphanies and beliefs and thoughts that can completely transform where you're at. And our goal as a company is just to provide that for people.
It's beautiful. I think that it's the when you think about it, it's like a moment. How big is a moment? Well, a moment is just right here. This little blip, and what you're saying as well is those different moments in life, those different milestones, but also the little thing like getting home after a long day of work. Like that might not be a milestone moment. It might just be a moment in your day, but you can make that into a moment with, if you choose to, which I freaking love. It's something that I coach a lot with my clients is acknowledging when you're in a moment that you enjoy. I enjoy this moment. I like this moment. I'm really proud of this moment. And when you can separate it into not minutes, not hours, not days, just moments. You look back, it's like it wasn't a tough day. It was a tough day, but look at these 15 moments that you wrote down that you were excited, you felt grateful, you felt proud, you felt joy. Like then we realize how many moments make up the day. And it's, again, it's one of my favorite things um, about what you've built is how you've built it, how you've kind of related that personal growth journey and a lot of yourself into helping a ton of people while also building a really successful few businesses and being yourself along the way. I think it's extremely admirable.
I think how you grow compounds over time. If you grow from a sense of shame, meaning like you hated the person that you were before, that doesn't get any easier. The journey just gets way more painful. And I think it's like, especially with like weight loss, for instance, right? Like you've got to accept yourself now. It's the only way to make the journey more easier along the way and more sustainable. Because if you're just shaming yourself along the way, if you hate the person in the mirror right now, things won't actually stick, right? Like you have to accept the person in the mirror. You have to be so proud of the person in the mirror that they want better for themselves, that they want to make these change. You got to celebrate that person. I think that's where any significant change that you've made in your life that was sustainable, it wasn't out of shame because you hated the person, right? That you were. It came from like, I love myself and I know I deserve better than this, so I am gonna seek that out. And that's like something that I'm big on now because like I've led with shame for so long, and that bled into the businesses I run where like I was shaming others as well, right? If I'm being completely honest. And I think being a better leader is like learning how to forgive yourself so that you can forgive others in return. And all the painful experiences that you have in your life, all that does is open up the capacity for you to be more empathetic with other people. So it's like anything significant that has positively changed the trajectory of your life has usually come from some sort of pain, right? Point. And as long as you learn from those things, when you're in the thick of the storm, you start to realize like there is some opportunities there.
Well said, man. Well said. Well, I also have to thank you because you helped me through a significant injury of my own when I herniated a disc last year, right before I was getting ready to run a 24-hour race, and within a month and a half of not being able to really dorsiflex my right foot, I was able to run 110 miles in a day. So definitely couldn't have done that without you. So I know that you know what you're doing with that. I think that what you're building and what you have built is, like I said, incredibly impressive. And I've been super excited to know you, but also just to follow along the way. I know I got to be respectful of your time. So tell me where we can follow you. Tell me about how to find you.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to leave you off with. I wrote this down in my notes, and I think it's such a good quote from Jerry Colonna. He was on an interview with Shane Parrish, I think it's Parrish or something like that, Farnham Street. He said, I may have made a mistake. With remorse, I will learn from that mistake, but my sense of self worth is not at risk. I will use the positive experience from that mistake to learn and grow to do a better job for the joy of doing a better job, not because I'm being chased by a demon that says you're a piece of crap. And I think as whoever's listening to this, you obviously have a huge influence with people that are trying to make these amazing changes in their lives. Just remember that you're going to make mistakes along the way. No one bats perfect, and you don't need to be bat perfect to, be where you want to be. I for sure have not batted perfect. I've struck out in way more ways than I can count. But I think, when you pick yourself up, just realize that you're a human being doing something for the first time, trying to lose a significant amount of weight, trying to run a marathon, trying to run a half marathon, maybe just do a couch to 5K. Anything that you're doing for the first time, just give yourself some grace because you're putting in so much effort. And oftentimes we feel like that's not enough, but it is. But if you are looking to connect with me, the easiest way is Instagram at dr.andyfata-chan. When you follow, you will have an AI person message you, and it's all automations. But after the second automation, it will be a human being. And from there, you pretty much will find everything else. Got my beautiful wife and dog in a story all the time, random food that I'm eating, and the businesses that I run.
Oh yeah, man. I love the fit checks. I'm always here for it with you and Christy and Oliver. Here
That's
for
been
it, man.
a new thing, but Hey, you know what Deion Sanders says? If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good.
That's what I'm talking about. What a way to end it there, man. Dude, I'm excited to chat with you. I think this is going to help a lot of people, but I'm also just happy to know you, man. I'm really proud of you.
No, for sure. We got to get up to you guys soon. Miss you guys a lot. And
Yes, you do.
I just realized Penny, Benny, like all of this stuff rhymes.
Exactly.
Oh
Exactly.
my gosh, now we have a kid named Lenny, right? That's
We've been
just
having a lot of fun with that. Yeah. Penny and Benny.
Benny, Lenny. We'll see what happens. But dude, love you so much, man. You're a great guy, and it's been awesome to chat. I hate that we had to catch up on a podcast, but
I knew I needed to hammer you down sometime, but listen, it's just going to break the seal. We're going to get together soon, especially because it's getting nice out soon. Next week should be spring, I think. Knock on wood. But yeah, man, come on up anytime and we'll chop it up.
yeah, send my regards to your lovely wife. Give Penny a big hug, Benny, Charlie, and what? I thought you were pulling up Benny or something right now.
He was right here, Benny. Come on, come on,
Benny
come
boy.
here, buddy. Come on. There he
Oh,
is.
Benny
Big
boy.
dog, big
Your
dog.
boy.
You didn't take me out yet. We gotta go. All
Awesome,
right,
brother.
love you, buddy. I appreciate you, man.
Love you.